Hello everyone. It is Jackie with Pocket of Preschool. I'm super duper excited tonight because tonight is all about journals with little learners. So I don't know about you, but I love doing journals with my my little learners. Cause I know they're 3, 4, and 5, but they can absolutely do journal time too, just like the big kids. It just looks different, right? The writing just looks a wee bit different than a first grader or kindergarten. So tonight I'm going to tell you all about how I do journals with my 3, 4, and 5-year-old class because I have a multi-age classroom. So yeah, so you guys ready to get started? But first, I want you to pop in the comments. One, you can put yes or no. Do you or do you not right now do journal time with your little learner? So are you doing journal time right now or are you not doing journal time? And then 2, if you are doing journal time, what do you use? Do you use plain paper? Do you use a composition notebook? Pop in the comments so we can kind of feel out kind of where everybody's at with their journals. So yeah, so at the beginning of the year, we do journals at the end of the day. And I know some people do them when they first get to school. Sorry. So the beginning of the year we do them, and I try to do them every day, but I kind of dropped the ball some days. Like if we ran late, I didn't want to skip recess time, so journals sometimes kind of fell off. So we got to them about I usually have my kiddos. I have Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we only probably did them about twice a week. Usually once a week we were running late. So I just use a composition notebook with my kiddos. These are like the cheap ones. They do have a plastic on them, a plastic cover, just because those cardboard ones are kind of tricky. And everybody has one, and I think what's super important is that I had one too. So I was modeling writing. Now I didn't use it every day, but I did use it some days to model things. You can tell I use it a little bit, not a ton. But yeah, so sometimes I wrote in my journal, or I did the drawing or the sticker activity in my journal. So let me find my one friend's. Hold on. Where is her journal? Here it is. Okay. I looked through all of them earlier, and I have one in mind that I wanted to show you. So so the beginning of the year we use these composition notebooks, and it was more of a build our confidence with writing, work on that fine motor. It wasn't really any specific writing that was occurring. Now, if they happened to write in them, that was awesome. There were different tasks on different days. And then now, since it's January, I flipped and I'm doing more of a, they look like this now. So I did this the first half of the year to get everybody comfortable, work on some of that fine motor, work on letters, and now that my kiddos are older, we are ready to work on some of those harder skills. But I'm going to tell you about the composition first. So sometimes we did them at the table. Sometimes we would lay on the floor. You can kind of see my circle area behind me, that rug. That's my circle area. We would lay on our bellies, and they would do their journals. And that's great doing work on your bellies because they're having to use their core, they're having to use their upper arms, and it kind of stabilizes them too. So it's good to kind of change up to where you do your journals. Like if your kiddos are getting bored, take your journals outside and do your journals outside. Do them laying on the floor on their carpet. Do them at the table. Do them all different places because we want our little learners to know that writing, you can write anywhere, right? Like it's not just at the table at this point in the day. Like we want them to be writing all the time. So we did our journals kind of different spots, different days. So some days, when we first started, they would just free draw. They could draw whatever they wanted. They could just, and this is a pre-K friend. They could just draw whatever they wanted. Probably for about the first month or so. They could just draw whatever they wanted every day. So we were just working on the routine of journal writing, right? We get our journal, we open it, we have to flatten it because they kind of like do this, right? The composition books. So we have to flatten it, how to open the marker, how to close the markers, using the appropriate pressure, not stabbing the marker on the table, making those big dot puddles. So that first month, of school when we did our journals, it was really just getting that journal routine down. And then the second month, we started doing different things. Like some days we would do different types of lines. So I modeled it in my journal, and then I would write it in theirs in yellow, and then they would have to make the different line. So you can tell this one's like a bump, and that's kind of like a bee, right? So we did different types of lines in our composition books. Sometimes we drew shapes. And we talk about too about how, you know what, sometimes you mess up, and it's okay as long as you're trying. That's all that matters, right? Like, because let's face it, like, I'm not perfect. I know they're not perfect. Like, it's also part of making mistakes. It's part of life, right? Just like learning that whole, if I make a mistake, oops, it's okay, and getting over it. Because, you know, some kiddos are perfectionists. I mean, I am too. So, yeah. And then some days they just had to make the first letter in their name, and then they could draw a picture. Some days this was when we did space. They drew circles, and then they did planets, and we talked kind of about like stopping the color when you see your line. So we kind of talked a little bit about coloring inside the lines. Now, are my 3-year-olds gonna color inside the lines? Nope, probably not. But we want them to get there eventually, right? So just knowing like, oh, there's the end of my picture. That's kind of where I want to stop my crayon. So a lot of those pre-writing skills we were doing in our composition notebooks. Let me find something else we did. Oh, here's another shape person she did. We did one day, probably when we were doing shapes. We would also sing Map Man. This is just another picture she made. Sorry, I thought that was a self-portrait. We would also sing Map Man in them. So like, I don't know if you're familiar with Map Man. You can look it up on YouTube, but it's a song that helps them draw a person. Like it's Map Man has one head, one head, one head. And then it goes through all the different body parts. So sometimes we would sing Map Man and do them in our journal. Sometimes we would make a letter. And a lot of times I would pick their letters for them, maybe one that was tricky for them that I've seen them struggling with in their name, or they could pick a letter. She picked Q, and then she just put stickers on it and then wrote it all around. I know, I love Map Man too. Like, it's super, super fun. I love that. And I love when they sing Map Man to themselves when they're drawing their own person just during the day. Or something, or when they're doing their journal, or maybe they're drawing a picture in art, you can hear them singing Map Man to themselves, so that's really fun. This was a pumpkin patch we did. So first we drew like a squiggly line all around, and then they drew their little pumpkins in. So it doesn't have to be writing every day, especially if you have 3-year-olds or 2-year-olds. It doesn't have to be writing in their journal, just some kind of activity to where they're making different types of lines, and just get creative with it. Like this was a pumpkin patch, and it's kind of like an S, right? The wiggles kind of resemble an S, and then those circles. So yeah, so those are just some of the things we did in our notebooks. And you can do rainbow writing. You can really do, here's another different types of lines we did. You can really do anything in these notebooks. Letter stamps are fun in here. Regular stamps, just doing letter stickers in your composition notebooks is fun too. Letting them free draw, free write. But since these kind of had a different purpose, I switched in January to a different type of journal. Because these have just like kind of, I had different expectations for these than I do for my other ones. So now I'm going to show you the other ones. What does one look like for the younger kids? Okay, I can show you one. I find one. Okay, so here is a 3-year-old. So here, I think we made leaves on this one. So like we made long lines, and they had to put bumps on the line, which is like what? The letter P, right? This one looks like we were just practicing long lines. Here's some letter stickers we did. Here's some rainbow writing he did for the letter H. So you can see it's bigger. We would always do the same activity with all my kiddos. So my 3, 4, and 5-year-olds are all in my classroom together. So they all did the same activity. They just did it at their own individual level. Do you have a letter to send home to family so they know about journals? In my TPT pack, I added a journal letter, and right now I just got it uploaded so you guys could grab it. I am gonna make an editable journal letter so you guys can edit it to kind of fit the needs of your kiddos. Because I know all classrooms are they're so different, just based on your community, what kiddos you have, if you're half day, full day, pre-K, TK, you know, all the different Ks, if you're K. So yeah, how long is my journal time? So my journal time is usually about, 10 minutes at the most at the beginning of the year. These were sometimes even just 5 minutes. And then we went to the next activity. So these were our composition books that we did at the beginning of the year. And I just keep them, I just kept them in like a book bin. And that way I could just easily grab them off the shelf. And then each kiddo had a different color, and they got to pick their color at the beginning of the year. And then now we switched to these. So these I have different expectations for. So that's why they have a whole new look, they have a whole new feel, because we had to learn a whole new routine and new expectations for these. TK is transitional kindergarten. Some states have that for those kiddos, you know, those June, July babies that aren't really ready for kindergarten, but they're, you know, they've done a lot of the preschool stuff. So some states have a TK for those kiddos that are kind of on the cusp. They're not completely ready, but they're not, not ready for pre-K again. They'd be kind of bored in there. So it's kind of like an in-between. I think like Texas has it. I think California maybe. I'm in Missouri, we don't have it, which we should. I love it. I think it's a really, really great program. So here are my new journals. So we started these in January. And one thing I want to say about journal time, I make journal time super, super fun. It's not stressful. If they don't know how to make a letter, I help them. They can trace mine, they can attempt it. It's not a stressful time. I am not sitting there helping every child sound out every single word every single day. I want kids to fall in love with writing, and I want kiddos to see themselves as writers, right? Like, I don't want them to be like, oh, it's journal time, oh no. Like, my kiddos are excited for journal time. It's a time where they talk to each other about their letters and their sounds, and about their picture, and about their experience or their feeling they're writing about. Like, I want them to love, love, love writing. I want them to go to kindergarten, because I have preschool, so I want my kiddos to go to kindergarten, and when the teacher says, oh, it's writing time, they're like, yes, I'm so, so excited, because I love writing, and I'm good at this. Because some kiddos, and some of my kiddos in my class, I'm even still seeing this a little bit, they're very, very nervous when it's time for them to do their words or the sentence part of the journal, because they're afraid that they don't know exactly how to sound everything out. And you know what? I don't know how to sound out every single word. Like, and you guys, I'm a really bad speller, FYI. So if you ever see me spelling errors in my stuff, it's because that is not my strength. Spelling is not my strength at all. And you know what? Some kiddos, it totally stresses them out because they're used to their parents or another teacher or grandma and grandpa saying, Mom, M-O-M. Like, that's it. It's just M-O-M. There's no other spelling for it. There's no invented spelling. It's not a scribble. It's M-O-M. It's very cut and dry for some kids. And I want them to know that, you know what, Mom, for them, it might be Q-V-O if they're 3. If that's what they think Mom looks like, and they're writing those letters, then at 3, that is totally appropriate for them to write random letters for words, and then for them to forget their sentence and say it's something completely different 2 minutes later. Like, I want kiddos just to love writing, and I want them to be like confident and excited. And like, I don't want them to be stressed, because I see some of my kiddos, they go to write their sentence and they're nervous. And it just breaks my heart, because you know what? They're 4. Like, I don't expect you to write a paragraph like a 4th grader. You're 4, like, or 5 or 3. Like, If you write random letters and you occasionally have an initial sound correct, hey, you are a rock star in my book. So I'm trying to build that confidence with them. So I'm gonna open this up and kind of show you what's inside. So everybody gets a cover. Oh, and here's how I start them. On the first day, so I have 2 types of journals. I have my 3-year-old journals, so they have their name, a huge giant box. Because for the 3-year-olds, the picture is the most important part. And then I have 1 line at the bottom, so they have that spot at the bottom to write. And then for my pre-K kiddos, they have their name at the top. They still have a pretty big box, but it's smaller, and they have 2 lines. I don't use the dotted lines. The dotted lines are in my pack in case you're a kinder teacher and you want to use those dots. Do they glue in their journals? And typically no, just because it makes those pages stick together. And then we love our journal time, and if their pages stick together, I find that they're super upset. So we just usually don't use glue. We do use dot markers in our composition journal books, though. Those are really fun to do a dot marker and then like trace it or connect the dots. Those are really fun too. So here's my pre-K kiddos. They have their name at the top. They have a box. It's still pretty big, and they have 2 lines at the bottom because I want them to have a lot of room to write. So what I do is we're all sitting in a circle, and I model this. So I will put this on the board, and I model it. And I model writing my name, I model making a picture, and then I model making my words. And I do not write my words with all the vowels. I do not spell anything correctly. I spell it like a preschooler should spell it. They're helping me. Like if I say, oh, I love my dog, and maybe I have a picture of my dog and I'm writing I love my dog, and I would be like I, and then love, and I would model stretching out that word love. And if somebody yells X, I write an X. If somebody yells Q, I write a Q, because I want them to know that their writing and their thoughts and what they think about letters is great, and I want them to have that confidence. I can help them later with those beginning sounds, making sure they're correct every single time. And let's face it, for preschool, they're not gonna have initial sounds correct every single time. They're just not, it's not appropriate. Yeah, that's something that they work on at the first part of kindergarten, a lot of those initial sounds. So I write it, it could be something that doesn't even make sense, but they don't know. And you know what? It's my journal, so I can write it the way I want, right? Like I always tell them, it's your journal. You write it the way you think it is. And you make your picture the way you think, because it's your journal, it's your thoughts, it's your ideas. So that's my take on it. And then, so I model it, and then I hide it, because I tell them, I don't want anybody to write my journal, because I want you guys to write your journals, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're feeling. And I'll be honest, almost all the journals the first 2 weeks is, I love my mom, I love my dad, I love my sister, I love my brother, I love my family, I love my house. And you know what? That's okay. As long as they're writing and they're doing their pictures and having fun, we can get to other topics later. And I'm gonna tell you how I do that in just a second. So I call them one at a time, and I either give them the pre-K one or the 3-year-old one, and then they just go sit at the table, and I don't assign seats. They sit wherever they want, and then they do their journal that day. And at the end of that day, as they finish and hand them in to me, they pick a cover, and I just have these covers in different colors, and it's more so I can hand them out quicker, so I remember whose colors are which, and they remember, and we can just pass them out quicker. It's the only reason why I have different colors. And they go back, sit down, and they write their name, and then their covers are on their journals, and everybody has one that is appropriate for them. So my little guys have ones with 1 line, and my big guys have ones with 2 lines. So yeah. So I know you're thinking, what materials do I use for my journal time? So for my journal time, what is on my table are, I have little caddies. And these, I think I got like years ago from the dollar store. I know they have them at Target, Big Lots. And they also, if you don't have a lot of space, they also make tinier ones. You can also use buckets. You can put buckets of markers at your table. You know, I'm a bucket person. I love my buckets of markers. But I like this little pocket because I put ABC charts in there. And I have one with pictures, which is great for my pre-K friends. And then for my 3-year-olds who are not even thinking about sounds right now, I have just one with letters because I just want them to be excited about writing letters. So this is a lot for a 3-year-old to look at. This is manageable for a 3-year-old to look at. So I have different, and then my pack, these alphabet charts are in there. So there's one with just uppercase, there's one with upper and lower. It looks like this, and they also come big too, upper and lower. And then, because I have a few that want me to spell the words correctly, so they want me to dictate it to them. So that's kind of like what I was talking about, like when some of my kiddos are very, very nervous and they are not happy when I don't tell them how to do it. So it's just slowly building that confidence up and slowly getting them to do it on their own and be excited about it. And you know what? If you are super, super excited about having them tell, because as they turn their journals in, I have everybody tell me about their picture, and then I have them read me their, so as they turn them in, they tell me about their picture, because I want them to know that their picture is important, and then they read me their sentence, and then I really quick, I just write it down what they said, just so I remember. Their parents can kind of see what they wrote, and if you don't like to write on kiddos writing, on kiddos work, and some people don't, and it's just personal preference, use a Post-it note, and you can just stick it on the back or the front, wherever you want to put it. So if you don't want to write on their writing, just use a Post-it and stick it on. That works too. But yeah, they turn it in, and they, I just write it down really little, and then I celebrate it, especially if it's a kiddo who's super, super nervous, and it's one of those kiddos that want you to spell every single word. I like celebrate it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Billy, look what Kyler wrote. Oh my God, he wrote I love my dad, and look at all these great letters. Oh my gosh, it's just so amazing. And I give them high fives, and like I get super, super excited about it. And you can, when I do that, their face just like lights up, and it's like, oh, just makes my teacher heart so happy because I can see that confidence growing and building in them. So yeah, so just keep building that confidence, and slowly, and they're going to be very hesitant, they're going to be very nervous, just keep reassuring them and keep celebrating it. And even if it's random and it doesn't make any sense, and even if they can do initial sounds and they're not doing it in the writing yet, build that confidence first, because it's just like any other social skill. Build those social skills first, and the learning will naturally come. As they get confident, they'll stretch out those sounds even more, and you'll see it come really quick, okay? Because like with one of my kiddos, he was super, super nervous, and I'm seeing initial sounds in his writing already. And he can do it, but he was just super, super nervous, and he wanted me to spell out every single word. I love when you are so proud of them, and I know, it just makes my heart so happy, and it makes them so happy, and mom so happy. Because how do you get kids to help kids write left to right? So most kids will naturally start over here, especially the more you read at circle, and you can model that at circle. You can model following as you're reading. You can model that at circle if your kiddos are struggling with that, or you can put like a sticker or a dot and say, oh, remember we start by the sticker or start by the dot. So that'll be like a visual, and then you can fade that as you go. And yeah, 3-year-olds are gonna start all over. There's gonna be letters in the box. There's gonna be letters at the below, but you know what? You just gotta build that routine that, oh, our name goes at the top, our picture goes in the middle, and our words go at the bottom. And you know what? If they put words in here, I'll be like, oh, you know what? Just remember next time, remember tomorrow, just remember to put those words down here on this line. I don't make them erase it. I don't get upset. It's not a negative thing. They're excited about writing. Just because they put it in the wrong spot on the page, I'm not upset. I'm excited that they wrote the letters. We can get it down to the right part of the paper later. Okay, so on the second day, I know I told you guys about how I hand out journals the first day. The second day, we all just, and I have 8 kiddos, so we all just come to the table, they sit down, and I hand out the journals, and I also hand out their name cards. Because my 3-year-olds are writing their name in uppercase, and I just transitioned this week. I'm starting my pre-K friends to write their name in lowercase, and these are going to be editable, added to the bundle. These are also in the Pocket of Preschool group files, editable. So editable. They're a PowerPoint file. Make sure PowerPoint. Just go to the Pocket of Preschool group, click on files, and these are just the name cards. And I put a uppercase one and I glue a lowercase one to the back. Because these are great for a couple reasons. One, they can write their name. And if a friend is writing their journal, they can hand it to them. And if they're a pre-K kiddo, they can write it in lowercase. If they're a little guy, they can write it in uppercase. That green dot on the left means go. That's a really great idea. We come to the table, we sit down, I give out their journals, I pass these out, these are in the middle, and then they just get started. It just becomes routine, and they know what to expect. When they're done, they usually just pass it to me, because there's just one table of us, and they tell me about their picture, they tell me about their words, and then I really quick write a note, and then they go. I actually have them go to the next table, and I have like a closing activity out. That's what we do to kind of end our day. And you can put these in. You can put these in the caddies too, which are really great. What is the best time of your day to write? I would say just whatever works for your schedule, and when there's kind of a lull maybe, or maybe when they're a little bit calmer. Like you're probably not gonna want to do it like right after circle. Like you want to do it after some kind of like free choice thing, because it's hard work for them. Even though it's really fun and really exciting, it's still hard work. So I wouldn't have them sit at circle for 20 minutes and then expect them to go do journal time. I would do it after like a choice-ish time, something where there's independent play, maybe after outside recess, after center choice time, something like that. So that way they kind of can get their energy out. They haven't been like focusing on one thing for a long time, so that way when they come to the table, they can focus and then they're ready to go. Oh, I know what I was gonna tell you. I know you're thinking, my kiddos write the same thing every single day. Well, you know what? That's because they're little, and we gotta teach them that you can write about anything you want. So what I do, and we started this week. We've been doing journals since the beginning of January. We've got our routine down. They know what to do, and now, really quick, if you have 18 kiddos, you can still do journals, and I'll come back to that in just 1 second. I did journal time very, very similar to this. The pages looked very, very similar to this when I taught full day in a public school, and I had 18 kiddos a day. What I did was I just color-coded everything. You know me and my colors, I love it. So what I did was like maybe this table was the blue table, and it had blue caddies. And then maybe this table over here, there's a table right next to me. Maybe this table was the red table. And what I did was they had assigned tables. They could still sit wherever they wanted. And I would call them from circle, be like, okay, red table is Bob, Sue, Joe, Frank, Marlene, and Billy. And they would go to the red table and they would sit down. And then there was I had some amazing assistants with me. So I had an assistant at each table, and I had 3 tables. So like one was the yellow table, one was the red table, one was the blue table. And I did mixed abilities. So that way my 3-year-olds are watching and hearing those pre-K kiddos sound spell and write their letters and things. And then the big guys, the big pre-Kers, they can help the little ones with their letters and things. Because when a kiddo is explaining their thinking and they're helping someone, that's taking it to a higher level. You just continue to staple all those pages together or like do you do it as you go? So since I'm half day and I only meet 3 days a week, I do a month. So I do 1 staple in the corner, and then when they add their cover, I just add 1 more staple. And so they have month journals, and I actually keep one for assessments, and I just pop it in their portfolio because it's a really great way to get an assessment and they don't have to do any extra work. You just keep the one you want and pop it in their portfolio or work sample folder, whatever you do for your classroom. When I did full day, I did them every 2 weeks because having 25 or 20, depending on, if it was a 4-week or how many weeks was in that month, it got really, really thick. And my kiddos, when they get their journal, it's just like this, and they have to find a new page. And I don't care if they're in order. They can do a page at the front and then a page at the back the next day. I don't care. As long as they find a blank page, I'm good with it. And then they find a blank page. And then we talk about how they squeeze the corner. And then they put it flat. And if they need to, they can press the corner to kind of flatten it. So I did 2-week journals when I did full day because my kiddos were there every single day. And it was just too thick to manage. Or now I have half day and I only meet 3 days a week. And I do a month because, you know, there's only like 15 pages in a journal or whatever at the most. And I do usually put 2 extra pages at the back just in case they mess up because sometimes they want a new one or a new page and I just say put an X on that page and turn it to find a new page to start. I also, at each table, and I keep all of my things in here. So like here's all their journals. And then I keep a couple pencils in here for me. And then I have a folder. And then in my folder, I keep extra journal pages. This one has the 1-line pages, has 2. Because I may have counted wrong. Like, I may have put 10 in one on accident. Who knows what happens sometimes. Like that way I'm not having to run and find an extra journal page or something. I can just give them one of these and then I can staple it on later. Or maybe they messed up a couple extra times and they want new ones. And if they want a new one, I give them a new one because I don't want to make journal time stressful. I want to make it fun and amazing. So if they mess up, they want a new one, I give them a new one. Now, if they do it every day and it becomes like perfectionist, crazy, like we have to, you know, we do I give them some support and some extra help with that. And we kind of work through that issue they have. Of, you know, not everything's perfect every time. But if it's, you know, once in a blue moon, if they want a new page, I totally give it to them. Because I want a new page sometimes if I totally mess something up. I just want to start over and start fresh. Some people I've seen people say they use spiral notebooks, and those work great too. It's just kind of whatever works for you and your kiddos. And maybe your school district has journals they buy for you that are awesome too. I know there's some great ones out there. I know Target Dollar Spot has those books. Those would be, they're in like the dollar spot, and those would be great to do. And I know some people cut those dollar store books in half with like a paper cutter, so they're like this big instead of like this big. So you could do that too. So I'm gonna go back to my thought, what I was going to tell you before I lost my train of thought. Not lost my train of thought, but told you about a couple other things. So when kiddos write the same thing every day, it gets boring and they're not sounding out any new words, they're not drawing any new pictures. So what I do, all right, so if you can see kind of back there, I think it's backwards. I have a what can we write about chart, and it's right next to where we do journals so they can see it and use it as a reference. And I just add a couple things on. So this is the first week we did it, and they were already journaling about their friends and their family. So I had those up, and then I was like, you know, what are some other things we can journal about? Because isn't it boring to write about the same thing every single day? And they're like, oh yeah, it is kind of boring. So I was like, oh, what do you want? You could write about food. And everybody's writing about chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A this week. It's hilarious, and making these amazing pictures of Chick-fil-A and the indoor playground, but it has sparked their interest, and they're really super excited about journal time because they're now writing about Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. But you know what? As long as they're writing, I'm happy. And then I also added school because maybe they want to write about school, like, oh, I made a building in blocks, or oh, we made cupcakes today, or oh, I was a mechanic at the auto shop. So just kind of broadening their thinking, just getting them starting to think about all those different things they can write about. And then in my little bucket here, I have my little pocket. And so each week, I'm probably gonna add on 2 more things. And I think it comes with, and this is in that journal writing pack, I think it comes with like 20 or 25, 24 maybe, different idea cards. So I'm gonna base it on probably like what's going on the season or whatever. So next week, I'm gonna add pets, because one person has wrote about their dog. So I'm gonna put that up and kind of hopefully get to springboard some new ideas. And hurts, like don't they love telling you about their hurts? So I'm sure they will love telling you about all their boo-boos and things. So, and it's a way to get their worries off their mind, right? Journal time is also, you can say, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm really worried about this today. I think I'm gonna write about that just so I can just, it'll make me feel better if I write about what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling. I'm really nervous today because, you know, my mom, she's sick, you know, something like that. Oh, and I do have a journal too. I can't find it, but one of these, oh, here it is. So I do model journal writing with them, especially at the beginning to get that routine down. I will model writing with them. So, yeah. That one did have perfect spelling. I have other ones in here that didn't, but oops. And I do model turning to whatever page too, so I have random ones that are in the middle too, but yeah. And then, oh, I lost my train of thought again. So when Valentine's is coming up, I'm probably going to put up the one about holidays and places. Maybe like when spring hits and it's not 0 degrees outside, I'll add that in. Maybe about vacations, I'll probably put that one up around spring break time. Feelings, animals, strengths is a fun one. So that way they can kind of talk about what they're good at. So that's really fun to see them writing about things that they're good at because they are good at things. So yeah, I had some kiddos today, they're like, I love letters, and they had letters everywhere over their page. It was so cute. I loved it. So yeah, so those are my big tips about journal time. Trying to think, is there anything else I wanted to tell you? Make journal time fun. Don't make it stressful. Build those confident writers, and it'll just be like amazing to see. And we do it every day. I make sure now we are on time because they want journal time, and I want to make sure that they get that time every day. And what I'll do slowly is, oh, and I want to tell you one more thing. So I don't help everybody every day. Some days, some kids do their journal completely independent until they have to tell me about it at the end. And so I pick maybe 2 or 3 kiddos a day, and I really help them with their picture or their writing. And it could be building their confidence. It could be just helping them find the letter on the alphabet chart so they know what letter they want to write. If they're 3, like maybe, you know, they're only doing circles, like, oh, do you want to try this E? Do you want to write this E down for, you know, whatever your message is? So I kind of scaffold what I help them with, but I maybe only help 2 or 3 kiddos a day. Everybody else does it independently, which I think is a great skill too for kindergarten, because in kindergarten there's 20-something kids and 1 teacher, so they need to be able to do things independently and with confidence. So I only help a couple kiddos a day. And then I usually kind of base it on too, like just depends on what they're writing. I want to start making a list just so I make sure I help everybody every week. I'm not really helping them in depth yet. Everybody, I'm just kind of like helping a little bit here and there as we're getting, since we got that routine down now, I want to really just help them take their journal to the next level. And I do help them with their picture, not just their writing. Like, oh, you saw a zebra at the zoo. Oh, a zebra has a circle body. Oh, it has 4 legs. It has hooves. You know, it has black and white stripes. And I do ask kiddos if they draw, because you'll see this happen. They'll draw 2 people every single time, and that's it. There's no other details in the pictures. So at circle time, what I'll do is I'll start noticing the illustrations more and noticing how the illustrator fills up the page. Now, I don't expect my preschoolers to fill up the page, but I can say, well, oh, your journal's about you and your dad. What are you and your dad doing in this picture? Oh, you're playing soccer. Oh, do you want to draw some grass or a soccer ball? So just adding on a little bit more, nothing stressful, nothing major. I don't have them fill in the whole thing. That's something kindergarten teachers are really good at helping them with. And their hands get tired too, right? Like if they're filling in that whole big box, like that's a lot of writing. And I don't want their hand to be so worn out that it's hard or it's stressful or they're frustrated. If I do see them frustrated, I go over and help them, and you know, we kind of work through it. If they don't finish, which this has happened before, they make such a detailed picture, they don't get to do their sentence or their writing. And I just say, you know what? I'll make a Post-it note to help us remember what this is about. And tomorrow you can finish it during journal time. So I had a little lady, she worked on her picture like for the whole like 10 minutes and she didn't have time to finish. And then she opened her journal up the next journal time. I reminded her about the picture, which she remembered what it was anyways. I didn't have to tell her because she's a pre-K kiddo. And she wrote her sentence and then she did another journal that same day. So if they don't finish, I model not stressing out about things to them. So like, oh, well, you know what, you can finish it tomorrow, no big deal. And she was like a little nervous at first, and then she's like, oh, okay. And I left it open to that page. One of my little guys took my pencil, and he's like, I want to write with your pencil. I'm like, okay. Like if this was hers, I just left it open to that day, and I put it in the box open. That way we remembered, and that helped her kind of like work through that every day. And we do journals every day. Nicole wants a copy of my schedule. If you go to my blog, pocketofpreschool.com, you can search schedule or click, I think it's teaching tips, and you can find it in there. And I have my half-day schedule that I used this year, and then I have my full-day schedule that I use when I taught full day too. And grab all these goodies. The What Can I Write About chart comes with it, all your journal covers, and there's like 4 different ones in there, I think, and then the different paper. And like I said, there is that dash line for those kinder teachers. There's 3 different alphabet charts, and they're full page and they're small. And then I have some photos I took. I kind of set it up, like pretended like I had a big, a full day classroom, so that way you can kind of get some organizational tips that way. And I will add in those. Oh, there's a parent note in there too. So if somebody asked about a parent note. So I really don't have any kids that hate writing. I have sometimes reluctant writers at the beginning. And I just build that confidence. I just build their confidence up, and they like learn, or they like fall in love with it. They see everybody else loving it. And I would say just don't push them. Maybe they just want to do the picture for like a couple weeks, and that's okay. Just make it fun. And maybe put out some fun crayons or pencils or whatever you want to use. So there is a parent letter for journal time in the packet, because I want parents to know that these journals are not going to come home perfect. They're not going to come home like an adult wrote them, because I am not going to tell them every single letter for every single word, because that's not good for them, right? So it has a little corner in the box here, like, hopefully reminding them, like, please stop doing this at home. Like, please stop telling them dog, D-O-G, like helping them sound things out. And then so I send this home at the beginning, and then I pair it with this developmental continuum. And it has writing that looks like a kiddo's, because that's what their writing looks like. It doesn't look like an adult wrote it. This is what they're gonna see. This is what's appropriate. So you can send this home with this at the beginning, and then sometimes I might, because I do monthly journals, I might send this home with the journal, or I might send this home as a reminder. You can send it home every time. You can send it home once every other journal time. Just depends on what you want to do. But these are great reminders for parents to know that they're like, if they're 3, that's what their writing's going to look like, and that's what it's supposed to look like. It's not a bad thing. This is great. If they're 2 and they're doing this, amazing, so hopefully they, get on the celebrate their writing kick with us and them and their kiddos. So, and that way they come home too and don't go, oh my gosh, what is this? This isn't spelled right. This is da-da-da-da. That doesn't help anybody, right? That just makes them hate writing and not want to write the next time. So hopefully these letters will help parents have reasonable, appropriate, developmentally appropriate expectations. So yeah, the developmental page is in the pack. And I saw somebody write too that she has a kiddo who is having behavior problems during journal time, and they won't come to the table. What you could do is try maybe doing journals on their bellies, like at Circle. If that's manageable for you, take journals outside and do journals outside. Well, I know it's like freezing right now, so it may not work. Unless you're in Florida, then you could go outside. Try doing that. Try saying, you know what, I see you want to lay on the floor. Here you go. You can absolutely do your journal on the floor if you want. Just kind of like maybe like surprising them, kind of change it up a little bit, or say, you know what, I really want, I really miss having you at journal time. Can you sit by me? Because I really need help with my journal. Would you help me with mine? Even though you don't want to do yours, would you help me with my journal today? I kind of need some help. So maybe try that. Try, having them like help you do something, or maybe if they're like having a job, say, you know what, would you like your job to be the journal collector or journal passer outer? And they can pass out their journals every day. Some kiddos love that, and they get a kick out of that because it gives them some kind of like power and control. So yeah, or try a first then board. First we do journals, then maybe they get a Skittle. If you don't do food, maybe they get 2 stickers. Maybe they get 5 minutes of tablet time. So find something that they want to earn, and you could do that. And if they see everybody like laughing and having fun, and if you're ignoring them sitting on the floor, they might come join you. It might take a week of ignoring, but they may eventually come join you. So just try some of those things out. Well, you guys have a great night, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.